Now, the White Sox have been shut out 7 times this season.
Oof.
They are the first team through 19 games to start the season ever getting shut out 7 times in Major League Baseball history. And
impressive.
of course, what makes it worse for them is their pitchers have been struggling, not going past about 4 innings or so. Not the case with the Phillies. Listen, we're going to talk about the pitching staff. We'll talk about the production, the at-bats, Nick Castellanos, and of course, going through the lineup. But most importantly, I just want to give you these numbers that are incredible because perspective. One of our goals coming into the season was for the Phillies to have a hot start. Granted, it didn't feel like it because I think sometimes we get caught up. It doesn't look the way we thought it would look. Like, it hasn't been a flashy, fun start, but it has been a really good start. Now, in the last 3 games, the Phillies have scored a total of 24 runs. They had 7, 9, and 8.
You're going to win a lot of baseball games when you do that.
They scored 29 total in the previous 10 games dating back to the first game of the St. Louis series. So they were struggling offensively, scored a total of 29, and they nearly eclipsed that in 3 games. So 10 games to 3.
Hitting season?
And this is what I'm leading up to.
Or shitty schedule season.
They've had double-digit hit games in 3 out of 4 games when they had 1 total double-digit hit game in the first 8. And then in the last game, 8 of 9 guys got at least 1 hit, except for Nick Castellanos on Sunday. But he did have a good day on Saturday where his at-bats looked better. So it's been an improvement. Granted, it's been the White Sox and the Rockies, but in this 10-game homestand to be 8-2, going back to the Pirates series, it's great to at least get the confidence going. It's great to get the momentum going and to get guys, as we know with baseball being so mental, seeing the ball off their bat and landing in play and allowing them to get on base and allowing them to score runs.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at a guy like Johan Rojas, I think at least I do, because I was on him pretty hard the first 2 or 3 weeks when he looked lost. He looks completely transformed. And an 8-2 homestand, I mean, my God, you take that every single time it's presented to you. That's incredible, regardless of who the opponents are. But like Johan Rojas, let me pull up his numbers pretty much over this homestand. More or less. I think it was 10 days this goes back, which is, the homestand, 8-2.
Yeah.
Johan Rojas, since returning home, is hitting .429, .452, and .483 over his last 10 games. So coming back home, agreed with Rojas. Maybe he shut off the switch to stop thinking. Trey Turner's another guy that's on absolute fire right now. Alec Boehm has been stepping up. I mean, tremendous games from him. The only guys that really aren't quite going yet are Nick Castellanos, which
we'll talk. I mean, he's improving though. He's improving. He at least had Saturday.
I know. His slugging is now .203 and his batting average is .177. Yeah. So they're not the same anymore. So that's something. But coming home's been good to the Phillies, and we have to address the elephant in the room here. They're off to Great American Ballpark.
Oh, boy, they are.
So we'll see if they can carry this on the road with them. But, tremendous all-around homestand. It's really hard not to feel pretty bullish on the Phillies' direction this year.
It's hard to win games in any professional league. I don't care who you're playing, because even with the worst teams, look, Kansas City just lost to the White Sox in the series prior to the Phillies playing them. These teams that are bottom of the barrel, you go into it sometimes almost too laid back and you don't perform well. And I know Rob was telling them on Sunday, like, keep your foot on the gas, regardless if you're up or down. Let's keep our foot on the gas. We saw them do that. But there's only been 19 times total since 1901 that the Phillies have won at least 12 of their first 20 games. This season is one of them. This is also their best 10-game homestand since 2011. I mean, regardless of who your opponent is a win. And also, what makes it better is what I like about the White Sox series compared to the Rockies is their convincing wins. That 9-5, I'm not going to count the 5 because Pinto struggled. That's strictly on Ricardo Pinto. He's not going to be here much longer, unfortunately.
Beans.
But overall, to have 2 games back to back where you have pitchers going deep into the 7th inning with a no-hitter on alert until NBC put up the graphic.
So in case you guys didn't know, our friends out at NBC Sports Philadelphia put up the graphic on Zach Wheeler going into the 8th inning on Saturday. And you want to guess how much time was gone between the graphic and the no-no being lost, Tyler? Renee heard me ask Vince this earlier.
Yeah, so as most baseball players would assume, they don't like that.
No.
However, I don't care.
And
It doesn't bother me
It's
at
funny
all.
because the guys don't know.
Tom McCarthy
Like, they don't
addresses
see
it.
the
He's not a
graphic go
coward.
up. Yet within a matter of moments,
It's more just like
you have to
it's
tell
wild.
you have to tell the
so.
story
Guess
of
how
the
long
game.
the no disappeared after the graphic?
Probably less than 2 minutes.
Oh, very much less.
24 seconds.
That sounds about right.
And Friday was the same thing.
And Spencer Turnbull, we missed it doing the post game Friday night. He actually said it was a blessing in disguise that he got hit when he did because he hasn't pitched that long in forever, and I think he was even a little like weary of, trying to pursue a no hitter going into the 8th and 9th innings. But you bring up the rotation, Renee. You want to hear some absolute filthy numbers on the rotation? They have now gone 31 1/3 consecutive innings without allowing an earned run, which is their longest streak since a 37-inning streak in 1969. The last earned run the rotation allowed was a solo homer off Aaron Nola. This was prior to yesterday's game, 4-15 versus Colorado in the 5th inning. Over that, the Phillies rotation had a combined ERA of .25 ER runs over 36 2/3 innings with 41 strikeouts to only 7 walks. And they had held the 133 batters they faced to a 363 OPS. Now, Aaron Nola makes one mistake pitch yesterday, didn't have his best stuff. Settles in. My wife was like, Nola. And I was like, well, if he ends up going like 6 or 7 innings and only allows the 2 runs, it's a really good start. And that's exactly what he did. So the Phillies rotation has just been, I mean, my God, one of the, they're better than 2011, which is,
I know.
It sounds insane to say, but they've been that good through 22 games now, 21 games, whatever it is.
No, that's exactly it. There's been already talks about comparing them to Roy, Cliff, and Cole with how they've been pitching so far. Well. And our own John Foley put out a really good tweet because the Phillies pitchers, starting pitchers, had not even allowed an extra base hit through 3 straight games. They last did that July of 1982. Like the stats and the records that they're breaking are remarkable. And our own John Foley actually had tweeted out, when you look at the Phillies starters in the last 6 games, they've pitched 44 1/3 innings. They've given up 22 hits, 3 runs, 8 walks, 48 strikeouts with a .61 ERA and a .73 WHIP. As we all know, and as we've been hearing, they are top in the NL in WHIP and ERA in a number of categories because you look at those 12 quality starts they've had coming into the weekend, the most along with the Kansas City Royals. It's been lights out for the pitching staff, starting with the starting pitchers on how they've been consistently performing and also getting past 6 innings. They're going deeper into the game. I know Rob had to even manage the bullpen yesterday, because the guys, Jeff Hoffman and Jose and Junior Marte, they're like, wait a minute, we're enjoying this, but we want to get some innings too. We want to play too. And so right now, I feel like it's been a great problem to have, as we've talked about the longevity of the season, that you have starting pitchers able to get deep into the game. And I think for Nola, he had only pitched
91 pitches.
He pitched 91 pitches.
There was some Discord conversation amongst the diehards yesterday of like, I think it was Josh Katz said like, this speaks more to Junior Marte needing some work than it does like preserving Aaron Nola. Like, I think it had been 9 days since the guy threw in a game. Aaron, let's shut him. This game's in check. We got this in hand.
Well,
just shut him down. Get some of these bullpen guys some work.
Junior Marte hadn't pitched since Wednesday, and prior to the game, Rob had already mentioned that he wants to get the relievers going and get them some work too. And listen, ultimately, you're in a really good situation because you're unlike the White Sox, who actually even 1 inning in have to go have a conversation with their starting pitcher and are pulling them by the 4th inning. The Phillies are right now, the starting pitchers are performing so well, you're able to keep them going 7, 8 innings. But on the reverse side of that, you do want to manage them. You do want to also keep the bullpen fresh.